Hi everybody. So there isn't really too much going on in ASCA for the next few weeks. Obviously we're still waiting on the livery reveal in about 2 weeks' time. So I thought it would be fun to go ahead and look at all the hirings. We haven't really done something like this yet. Look at all the drivers that have been hired and really just give a rating of whether the signings are good or bad. So that's kind of what we're going to be going through. We're just going to be looking through each driver and just kind of getting an idea. Has this team made good signings compared to last season? All right, and that's really what I'm going to be looking at here. Obviously, for new teams, I think the main importance is trying to have a good foundation of drivers that can, begin the season off strong and keep that consistency throughout the season. But we'll see what happens here. I'm just kind of doing this off the fly. I don't have a script or anything. I'm just going to be kind of blabbling here for a little while, so hopefully you enjoy that. I hate making scripts, so as you may have noticed in some other ASCA Hot Seat episodes, I mean, you can tell I'm reading off a script sometimes. You can tell, and I fucking hate it. So, go ahead and start with Uprise. I mean, I gotta give a win here. Absolutely. There is literally no changes from last season, and that's a good thing. Because all 4 of these guys are probably within that top 5 range. I mean, these 4 in Penske, probably the top 5 drivers in ASCA. They are just that good. They are all on one team. It's actually kind of incredible how they were able to get all 4 of them on the same team, and they're all good. I mean, there have been a lot of races last season where it was those 4 in the top 4. I mean, it's incredible to watch. And since they haven't changed anything, I mean, it's a win. I mean, perfect. All right, so this is where I'm going to go ahead and give Northern Motorsports. Northern Motorsports is a bit of a tricky one because Camo is a rookie who did good in the rookie showcase. And you also have to understand that last season, they did not have the best team. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't really have a very competitive team besides Froze. Yeah, I mean, like, they had JJ, they had Ethan, and the replacements for those cars are MINEDRAFT Camo. And I'm going to have to say, you can make a pretty decent argument for each, but I'm going to have to say this is a slight loss. I don't think it's like a loss in the sense that they're just going to plummet. I think Durr said it best during his interview with us during the first episode of ASCA Hot Seat. He's probably going to be around the same place as he was last season. I think the main reason for that is because the guys from last season were Froze, GINGERALE, JJ, and Ethan. JJ went over to Mora, and Ethan went to last car. And the replacements are 2 rookies. One of them who was up front for some of the race, kind of flundered in the midfield afterward. And then you have MINEDRAFT, who, yeah, sure, won the ASCA fucking rookie showcase, but, I mean, he was nowhere near the front. Throughout the whole race, he was nowhere near. And I think because of that, because look, at least with JJ, and to a lesser extent Ethan, they had ASCA experience. JJ had multiple wins in Season 2 with Uprise. And Ethan, obviously Ethan hasn't had any success in ASCA yet, but he does have D1 experience when he got swapped teams from Epic Kyle to Northern late in the season when WEHAWK retired. But when I look at this compared to last season, it's just, I don't think this is an improvement. Obviously, I think the fact that they kept Froze around is perfect. I think that's fine. I don't know what's going on with Ginger. Ginger had a not so great season. I think the fact that GINGERALE wasn't replaced may be a bad choice. I only say that because I know why GINGERALE's on that team. It's because Camo's on that team. Like, they're literally one of the same. If one goes to one team, the other one's probably going to go. That's just how their friendship is. So, again, not surprised that Camo and Ginger are together. But I am surprised that Ginger's still on the team. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess Ginger's active. I guess that's maybe something you can give a good reason to. But, I mean, Northern Motorsports, I gotta give a slight loss here. I mean, they lost JJ, although JJ never really showed up much. And they're replacing those 2, Ethan and JJ, with 2 rookies, which weren't up there. Look, Camo was up there for some of the race, and obviously MINEDRAFT won the damn thing, but, the 2 stars of that were Jose and fucking Janitor, so I can't really, give them all the credit in the world, you know what I mean? I do want to be proven wrong, especially with Camo. I want to see Camo succeed, but Froze is going to dominate that team again. Going to carry. All right, so Penske. Penske Mopar Racing is an interesting case here because Penske Mopar Racing has always been a team in seasons 1 and 2, more extent season 2 and 3, where they hired drivers who weren't that competitive. You know what I mean? They just weren't that good. They struggled, really. And, I mean, there isn't really too much else to say. I mean, Penske is a great driver. Okay, Penske is a fantastic driver. Okay. But he's always struggled to get drivers who can replicate his success. If you look at his drivers for season 2, you have himself, you have Silent Volcano, who barely showed up, you have New Day, who never showed up, and I don't even think they had another driver, did they? I think they did. I mean, I'm looking through the list right here, and I don't think they had another driver besides those two, and, well, I mean, they struggled. They definitely struggled. But, I mean, they haven't won a race. Besides Penske, anyway, they have not won a race since season 1 at Club with Josh. However, I do have to say, this group is promising, and I'm going to explain why. So, obviously, you have Penske. Easy. My top 5 driver, obviously. Championship contender. You have Philly. My thing with Philly is if he shows up, I think that he will be a great asset to Penske. I think that is pretty guaranteed. Now, if he does not show up, that is going to be a problem, because one of the reasons why Penske's team has struggled over previous seasons is that he's hired drivers to just never show up. Janitor, on the other hand, I think Janitor has a lot of potential. I believe the Rookie Showcase was a great display of what he can do. I think that he'll be up there, battling for maybe top 10, top 5 area. Obviously, I wish I was proven wrong and going for wins, but obviously with Uprise being there, I think that he may have some trouble actually contending for wins, but I do expect him to be up front. I do expect him to be a great support for Penske, who's surely going to be going for wins this season, and I do think that Penske made a great signing with Janitor. Absolutely fantastic. I got to get Penske and Mopar Racing a win here, basing off their lack of performance besides from Penske over its history. I do have to say having these two drivers, I think, is a major improvement. So I mentioned that I did mention that new teams need to get drivers that could really put down a foundation. All right, and I think the main focus for new teams is really just being able to show up to races and being somewhat competitive. Obviously, with new teams, it's hard for new teams to get top drivers, because obviously for these top drivers, it's more appealing to go to teams that already have multiple seasons on their belt. And for teams like Vertex Racing, who's owned by Rez, new team, and you can kind of tell that's a new team based on its roster. I have to give a big loss here. Lexus has been in ASCA for a few seasons now, has not had any success. I don't think he has a win. I may be wrong. And I do have the sheets up here, so I can't check if I really want to here, but I don't think, the guy doesn't have any wins under his belt. So, obviously he has been around for a little while. Just hasn't really done that well. Raced in season 3, nothing too crazy there. He was on the round of 8, round of 12, there isn't much else to say about Lexus. Just a driver who I think definitely worked enough to get one. But I would not be surprised if he struggled to make races. There's going to be a lot of people showing up to these races to qualify with only 18 cars being allowed in every race. I think it's definitely going to be a struggle for Lexus, and especially the second driver, Licarius, to make these races. Look, I think Licarius is a cool guy, but I've seen the driving, and I don't think the potential is there. I think that guy is going to be the third driver on that team. I think that he's going to struggle to make races. Obviously, I wish that he surprises me fully. I wish he does. But right now, I just don't see it. I'm struggling to see it. And, and I think, I don't really know what else to say with Licarius. I think he's just going to struggle. Josh is a very interesting case. With Josh, he does have ASCA experience. The thing was, that was over a year ago, where he got a win at Auto Club, so it has been a very long time. He did all right in the Rookie Showcase. He was up front early before getting crashed. So I do think that Josh is the best driver on that team, but considering that he has not raced in ASCA in a while, his experience in ASCA isn't really as valuable as other drivers that we'll be talking about here in a little bit with some new teams. And I just don't think Vertex has the drivers they need to succeed. I think they'll struggle to make races. Do not be surprised if they don't make too many races this season. I'm mainly going towards Lexus. Who cares? I think Josh won't have much trouble. He may be in the back half of the field, but I do think he'll make races. But those other two, I'm pretty nervous about them. I'm going to have to give a big loss here at Vertex. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about my team, Beard Oil, and obviously I'm going to go ahead and give it a win. Bias aside, I do think that just looking at the team from last season and looking at what it is this season, I think there's a major improvement. The last drivers from last season were, at the end of the season anyway, it was LX, myself, Boron, and who was that third? Who was the fourth driver? I feel so bad for forgetting the fourth driver. I'm so sorry. It was... Brand, but Brand never showed up after a while because, you know, it's life. But I do have to say, besides me getting 2 wins and Brand getting 1, not too much success there, especially in the playoffs. So I think getting active drivers was very key for this season. I do think I've made some good signings. Obviously, Dale was the best driver in tryouts, won almost every single race that he did in tryouts. It was so good, in fact, that he didn't have to show up to the rookie showcase to prove himself. He already had a signing with me. And, I mean, just great driver overall. I would not be surprised if that guy's battling up front. Jose, I do believe, will be around the top 5 guy. Dominated the rookie showcase for most of it. Fought with Janitor very hard and was very impressed by his performance. I think Jose will do a pretty good job over there. I think will definitely be a top 5, top 10 contender. V. Colby is definitely a driver who I think has some potential. During the rookie showcase, he did leave throughout it. I think he said that he was fucking drunk or something. I don't fucking know, but the guy I think will definitely be a midfield contender. I don't think that he's up there with the likes of Dale and Jose, but I do think that he's not the worst driver either. Now, this is where I'm going to have to admit that obviously there were better options out there, but come on. I needed WEHAWK. I needed that marketability. Okay, all that esport money, I needed it. But all jokes aside, WEHAWK is definitely the fourth wheel here. I mean, there isn't really much else to say. I mean, he's been racing for 3 seasons now, and he does not have a win. Although, to be fair, if Gage is bitch-assed and wrecked WEHAWK at home sit roll, he wouldn't have won that because he dominates. So hopefully, maybe he'll perform well in NDRC when that time comes around. But obviously, I do think WEHAWK's a bit of a loss on my end, but also I know WEHAWK will probably should be showing up to a lot of races. So, and he's also fucking funny and cool. So obviously, it's a little bit better than the silent VC that I was experiencing last season. So it's nothing too crazy. I do think overall it is a win. I'm not saying that it's the most perfect improvement in every way, but I do think it's an improvement nonetheless. Saying during we'll be talking to fucking Yeety boy a little bit later on about him racing for me and racing, but I do think that this is a major improvement at all levels. You have 2 drivers from D2 that did pretty well, each got wins. Now including Covers, who got the championship, so that's huge, and they also have OUTARY, who won a D1 race in when he got thrust into D1 during the middle of the season. So I think OUTARY is definitely the best driver on that team. Will definitely carry it, but do not be surprised if Covers and Yeety are involved. When it comes to Meme Racing's history in ASCA, obviously last season, Dunn was able to bring it home for a runner-up finish for that team. But when you really look at the team overall, it was really Dunn's team. I mean, you had PDX, who wasn't that competitive, and then you had Agony and Chasing Checkers, Lucas, who just didn't show up. So I think overall getting active drivers again was a major step, and I do think they definitely have those drivers there. Yeety Boy, Covers, OUTARY, I think those 3 will be showing up to a lot of races. I do not think that they'll struggle qualifying into these races. Obviously, I think Covers and Yeety will probably be mid-pack contenders, but OUTARY I do expect to be up front. So I do think that overall this is a major win for Meme Racing. Just overall, they have 3 drivers, which I think overall will make their performance a lot better. When I was talking about Vertex Racing, I said that new teams need to have a solid foundation. They don't need to have the best drivers on the planet, but they need to have drivers that have experience. And that's where I'm going to say Velocity is a definite win here. They have 3 drivers that have decent ASCA experience. Starting off with Blackstone, I do think he's the 3rd wheel there in the group. D2, no wins yet. I do not think that he will struggle to make races. I think that he'll make races pretty actively, and I do think that he will be up front occasionally. I think that he's a pretty good driver. It's just that out of the 3 drivers on that team, he has the least experience, and therefore I'm just going to go give a good judgment call on that one. But I do think Blackstone will be a valuable asset to that team. And then obviously you have one LOBBO who came in towards the end of the season to fill in for Jerry, for Pelham, and did a great job. Obviously no wins to his credit, but he definitely finished well. It was battling up front throughout the playoffs. So I do have to say LOBBO put on a great performance there at the end. I do think that he will probably be the best driver on that team. And then we obviously have MIGGY on our team, so we can't really, obviously we can't really say that, like he's a good hiring considering, he's the owner of our team, of course he's racing. But I do think MIGGY will also be up there as well, mid-pack, top 10, top 5 maybe, around that range. I do think that overall, when you look at Velocity Racing, there are different levels of experience that compared to a team like Vertex, I think that they definitely have what it takes to build a solid foundation their first season, going off what they have. I mean, there were a lot of low-tier drivers who, ended up getting rides somewhere else that, Velocity could have had. I think Velocity really got the best group of drivers throughout all the new teams, in my opinion. All right, this is definitely going to be a little bit something. I'm going to go and give a loss here to MIGGY Racing. MIGGY Racing was a result of a mindfuck where F1 Doggo's team got shut down, then BREEZY's team got shut down, and then MIGGY, which was basically the last guy standing, was given a team last second. And MIGGY it was literally MIGGY's team in the sense that he was the only one that raced for the team. He had Jacko, who stopped showing up, Co stopped showing up, Vistagic. I don't even know who Vistagic is. So obviously MIGGY was basically, he needed active drivers. But unfortunately, I have to say, I don't think MIGGY got good drivers besides for himself. I'm going to explain why. Blue Cup, Mr. Daytona, he did not perform well in the fucking rookie showcase. I don't even remember he was in it. And if he was, just very forgettable. He was not up front. He was not performing that well. I do know that he was towards the bottom of guys allowed into D1 or with an A license. So I do think that MIGGY may have made a poor decision there with that hiring if his whole goal was trying to get good drivers. I gotta get the same thing to MedFred. Look, MedFred is fucking awesome. Great guy. But, I mean, no statistics to go off of, no, achievements in ASCA. I mean, I just don't expect much out of MedFred. I don't really expect much out of that team at all. I think that they'll struggle to make races. I think MIGGY will be fine with making races, but those other two, I think, will definitely struggle to make races, especially towards the beginning of the season. So I gotta give MIGGY Racing a loss here. I just don't expect that much. So LASCAR is technically a new team in the sense that they are moving up into D1 for the first time. They are statistically the worst ASCA team. Like, when I was making that fucking AutoSim mod, I found out that LASCAR is statistically the worst team in ASCA history. So they do have a lot of proof this season. And for what is really seen as a new team, I'm going to go ahead and give them a win here. Ethan has a full season of ASCA under his belt. I understand that there wasn't much achievement there, but for what could be considered a new team, a new D1 team, I have to admit, having someone that's a full season of ASCA experience is way better than having someone with not any experience. So I do think having Ethan on that team is a major plus. I gotta go and give a shout out here to Breezy. It's the same thing as Billy. If Breezy can show up to races, I think that he will really make that team shine. I think he'll have no problem making races. He's very quick. He has a track record of being quick. I do not think that Breezy will have any trouble at all making these races. But then obviously a mere gamer who doesn't have any accomplishments to his name, so I can't really say that he's going to help out that team. But I think that he'll definitely be the third wheel. But I do think that this is a win overall for LASCAR as well. They have two guys that have a history in ASCA and have D1 experience, and I think that is going to be a major asset for a new team. I think that that's really what makes a new D1 team perform well, because they are, again, as I said earlier, these D1 teams, they can't really go off to the best of the best and encourage them to come over, because, well, why would they? They'd rather go to the teams that have success and have multiple seasons under their belt. And LASCAR had to work with what they have, and what they had was a free market of drivers that have D1 experience, and they took those drivers in. So I do think that LASCAR made a very good decision there, and I think that they'll definitely perform well. I'm afraid Mir may be towards the back half. They struggle to make races, but with Breezy and Ethan, I don't really expect too much trouble. All right, so I'm going to admit it. I think that Starlight has the worst team of any team this season. I'm going to go and explain why. Because all 4 of their drivers, I do not think are going to perform well. OJC. I think that his history here in ASCA is pretty self-explanatory. He's been racing since the beginning, and I have recalled him multiple times as the worst ASCA driver. I mean, in 4 seasons, he's winless. He has had a lot of controversy, lost suspensions. He was not allowed in D1 in Season 3 because, he was just that bad. OJC is he's kind of a loose cannon on the racetrack. I don't know. I think OJC will struggle to make races with so many drivers this season. And I think the same could be said for Ultimate. Ultimate, obviously, team owner, but he does not have a rich history in D1. But I have to admit, I have to give the guy some credit. He's a pretty damn good D2 driver. Honestly, I would have liked him to be a team owner in D1, of course, but do what Rez is doing and just race in D2. Because I feel like Ultimate could be pretty good at D2. I mean, the guy does have a ton of wins there. So I have to admit where, credit is due. I do think that Ultimate probably should have went to D2 and maybe had that extra slot that he's given up to maybe someone that could really push that team forward. But it is what it is. ZAIN the Train, no wins. Was a Final Four contender, but obviously there wasn't really too much merit to that, considering there was really the 4 active drivers throughout the season. And he got no wins, so I can't really say that it's a good hiring, especially for a team that had OUTARY last season, which was obviously a good thing for that team. They did have OUTARY. They did have NICKY, who got wins, and they've lost both of them. So I have to say that having those 2 replaced by ZAIN the Train and OJC is not good. And finally, Agent. I do think Agent is probably the best guy on this team. But obviously that isn't really saying much. He has a full season of ASCA experience at Pelham, but he was the 4th Pelham car, and obviously he has that controversy with a cover where he wrecked a Championship 4 contender and kind of cost him cover the championship. So Agent's kind of in a situation where his team shut down and he had nowhere else to go. So Agent, I do think, will probably be the best Starlight driver just based on, previous experience. But, I mean, I still think he may struggle to make races. I think all 4 of them will struggle to make races, in my opinion. That's why I really think Starlight may have a big loss here. Because, look, NICKY and NICKY and OUTARY got wins last season, which for Starlight's pretty good. And unfortunately, they lost both of those drivers. So I have to say that this is a loss. Warren Motorized. Now, I'm going to go ahead and be subjective here. Now, you could consider this a new team. You absolutely could. However, you could also consider this as a continuation of Gay Spider Motorsports from Season 2, because obviously this is Addicted's team. And I have to say, and I understand this may be a little bit controversial, but I think this is a loss. When you look at Gay Spider Motorsports from Season 2, they had Addicted, who in the previous season got 2 wins. You have AJ, who got a ton of wins and was in the Championship 4. You have Uncovered, who got his first win in New Hampshire that season. And the thing is, with this Season 2 sheet, they don't actually have the team things for some reason. Someone deleted the pages, so I'm kind of going off the... I don't know who their 4th driver was. I think they had a 4th driver, but I just don't remember who it is right now. So, but I do have to say that it was a major loss. Obviously, Addicted could not get AJ and Uncovered back because they're with Uprise, and they're not going to leave Uprise. Give me a break. I do think Addicted is a good driver. I think that he'll be up there. Obviously, I think he should have won Nashville Fairgrounds this season. Unfortunately, he got into a bit of trouble with PD at the end, which allowed me to get through. But, obviously he has not had the same speed he had in Season 1. I'm hoping that with the new next gens and the new setups, which definitely look a lot looser than previous seasons, could be considered closer to Season 1 setups, which Addicted obviously was great with. I do think that he'll be doing pretty good. I also think MINIBOOBOO will be a great assistant to Addicted success. He almost won the fucking rookie showcase. He was up in the top 5 most of the day. I do think MINIBOOBOO is a pretty good driver, and I think that he made a really good hiring there. There's this guy named Daniel Noah Fernandez. I don't know who this guy is. I know every single driver on this D1 list besides him. I don't know who this guy is. And because of that, I'm going to assume that he's never going to show up. So, But I do think that it is a downgrade. You can't really get much better than an AJ and Uncovered, though, so I can't really blame Addicted. He had to work with what he got. And I have to say, I mean, just from a point of view of a continuation from Season 2, I do think this is a loss for Addicted. And finally, brand new team, Mora Racing. I'm going to go and give them a win. And I know this is definitely going to be one where people are going to disagree with me, and honestly, go ahead. That's fine. I have to stay consistent with my terminology. This is a new team, and therefore you need to have drivers with experience. You have Nicky, who got a win last season at Pocono. Obviously, there's a lot of shenanigans with that one. He was really the one guy who didn't crash on that final restart. Wasn't very competitive. Got eliminated in the round of 12 pretty easily. And, I mean, yeah, but he does have a full season of D1 experience. So, obviously, him continuing to race in D1 is a great thing. JJ, same thing. JJ has a lot of success in ASCA, but he didn't show up much in Season 3. Lord knows if he's going to show up in Season 4, honestly. But if he does, I think that he'll be a pretty good asset to that team. COOLPLUG, look, she's our official anime supplier, but that's going to be the third wheel on the team. She doesn't have much experience, okay? And I'm going to have to be consistent with everyone else, like Mirror. I mean, just not too much experience there. And I could be proven wrong, but right now, just based on the stats, which for COOLPLUG there isn't any, I do think that COOLPLUG may struggle to qualify for races. So hopefully she doesn't, because I want to see her succeed, because she's cool, and she's our official anime supplier. But just off statistics, I don't think she'll do that good, at least compared to Nicky and JJ. So I do think for a new team, it's a good signing. Good signings, but obviously I don't think they'll be that competitive. You know what I mean? If you understand what I'm trying to say. With that being said, those are just my general thoughts on silly season. Obviously, if you have your own, go ahead and put it in the comments or something, or maybe like ask me to come on out here. For you to come out here and we can fucking talk about it more. I don't know. Don't care. I just want to put my general thoughts out there. So thank you for listening, and I'm really excited for this season. I really hope you guys are as well. I mean, it's gonna be very exciting. So many new drivers. Just a lot of excitement entering the new year. Hi everybody, we are here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have one Yeety here today from Meme Racing to talk about his successes from last season, what he anticipates out of himself this season, and address some comments his fellow drivers have said about him in previous episodes. So to go ahead and start off, last season in D2, you got one career win at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where we are right now, and you finished sixth in the point standings. Compared to tryouts, where you were deemed not good enough for D1, how would you describe how you improved? Like, where did you improve, per se?
I felt sometimes and something that I'm still working on now is consistency and being patient and thinking ahead, being proactive. I definitely think that I improved over last season. I made some mistakes. I also made some very good calls, and I felt I did really well. It was only because I couldn't show up the playoff races I ended up finishing where I did. I felt like I could have done a lot better, but yeah, I'm ready for this season especially.
So let's talk about next season really quick. Where do you see yourself being around the field? I mean, we have 40 cars, a lot of competitive drivers that came up from D2 and that finished ahead of you in the standings. And also, we do have the natural fare of competitive guys who run for championships every year in the D1 series. Where do you see yourself fitting in?
It might be difficult, especially the first season. I think I could maybe make a midfield impact, if not maybe slightly better. It depends on the track, because certain tracks like Phoenix, New Hampshire, Milwaukee, those tracks I often struggle at. But then at tracks like Charlotte, where I got my first win, Las Vegas, I got the fastest lap in testing, and Bristol, where I nearly won it last year. I feel like those tracks I could definitely make much more of an impact than at others. So it depends on that more so. It's gonna vary. It's gonna vary.
During my interview with PDX, your team owner, he expects you to be in the playoffs.
If I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I think he might compete on the same level as Covers a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think both of them are gonna make playoffs. I'm just not quite sure where they're gonna make it in playoffs. You know?
Yeah. Do you think that is a possibility, or do you think PDX is a little too hopeful in your skills?
Oh, of course, it's not an impossibility. I think I can easily make the playoffs if I just race well. Like, you know, I see myself definitely in the top half, maybe top 12, at the end of the season. I don't know how far I'll make it in the playoffs. That's a different question, but yeah, playoffs I definitely see as a possibility, if not a almost definite outcome.
Okay, now also during PD's interview, PD described you, and these are his words, his big boy.
You know, as you phrased it earlier, he's my little boy. He's my He's my little guy.
Little baby, yeah.
Okay, well, okay. Well, now that you phrase it like that, I never want to associate with that ever again.
I'm sorry.
Well, now he's my big boy. Okay, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
What are your thoughts on that statement?
I don't. I mean, sometimes I was a bit confused. I was like, he's never called me that before until now. But you know, I'll take it. I'll take that name. I like being called his big boy now. I'm a D1 driver.
Oh, you like that? Oh.
Yes, I
hear that,
appreciate
PD? You hear that? He likes it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about your teammates. So you have OUTARY and Covers. Covers D2 champion. OUTARY already has a race win. How do you think their performance will be compared to you? Do you think that you can run better than them, or do you think they're gonna leave you out in the dust?
Definitely not the latter. And again, it depends on the track. Like, I could see myself outperforming even OUTARY on some tracks, especially those kind of intermediate tracks, especially like Auto Club. You got Michigan coming up. I'm excited for that track.
Everyone's
my
excited.
style.
Brand new racetrack. Hasn't even been built yet.
Yeah, but I'm excited nevertheless. And you know, again, it comes down to the track. But I feel like if I would probably be kind of in the middle of them. I would say maybe OUTARY would edge me out, but I think I could edge out Covers.
Let's talk about OUTARY here for a second. During my interview with him, he said that both you and Covers are fucking terrible.
Yo, I agree with PD. They both suck. Okay,
What?
They're terrible. They're trash.
What are your thoughts on that statement?
I don't take it seriously. I know he was kind of just doing it for the camera and
Nope. He said it off camera that you were shit.
Real?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, I mean I saw that, but like I didn't think it was real.
He thinks you're awful.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's going to conclude our interview here with Yeety. Thank you for coming out, Yeety, and we hope that you, hopefully your, how do we put it? Your, fuck. What is the word? Fuck. Your confidence. There we go. Fuck. Your confidence will come to fruition this season. We'll see if you can make a good playoff run. I mean, hey, if Dunn can, anyone can, really. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you back at Charlotte very soon, probably. I don't know when. Maybe soon.